Courtney Fingar, editor of FDI Magazine, here on the scene at the International Monetary Fund World Bank annual meetings in Washington. I'm joined here by the Finance Minister of Rwanda, and we will be chatting with him about priorities for the meetings here and also how Rwanda is promoting itself for foreign investment. First of all, maybe you could tell us about your priorities for the meetings this year. What agenda are you pushing, and what do you think are the top items on the discussion for you?
Yeah, thank you. One, of course, you know, we have uncertainties in the world economies, and so most of our objectives was to see. Now we are here with the Bretton Woods institutions, which are the leading financial institutions in the world, and this is where here we meet different people from all over the world that really have a say in how the economies of the world are going. So one is to really get to know what is happening. So through these meetings we get to know what is happening and what should we expect going forward and how is that likely to affect us back home. How can we prepare to mitigate any effects. So that's mainly what we've been the big picture in terms of what we expected from this meeting. But as you know, this is a meeting of all people that matter in this world, so in terms of the financial sector. So we get time now to have our bilateral meetings with the different key partners in our development, and so.
And how does Africa generally, and Rwanda in particular, fit into the current global economic dynamic?
At the moment, we maybe be specific on Rwanda. We are doing well as an economy at the moment, and we've been affected slightly by the prices, the fuel and food prices. Now that in fact they're being pushed down a bit because of the other crisis in terms of the growth of the economies and the debt itself, the debt burdens of the big economies. Somehow that is easing our pressure on the prices. So at the moment we don't have any big challenge or any big effects coming on us, but now we are trying to see how the counter effects now going forward. Maybe we still have, for example, in 08, the effects that of the global financial crisis hit us almost a year later in 09. So we are trying to see how might this hit us going forward, especially for us. Our big challenge is on our exports. As we are seeing in the numbers here, the global demand is going down. So when global demand is going down, of course, it affects the consumption of different commodities, including our exports. That's where we are having some concern that, and instead this year our exports have performed quite well, growing by more than 40%. So that's where we have some concerns. Maybe the other concern, which is also might be long term, is on we still have some good amount of financing from our partners, the donors, in the form of aid. So we are asking ourselves how might this affect their capacity to meet their obligations in terms of financing our development. So far, we still get commitments and confirmation from our partners that they honor their commitments. They still disburse what they have already committed to give us. But going forward, we can't be sure. We can't be sure, at least in the horizon, the next 3 to 5 years. We don't know how deep this is going to, how far or how hard this is going to hit them, and how that would affect their capacity to continue financing ourselves. So that's where we think we are
might be vulnerable there.
Yeah. But on the other hand, what we are trying to do is really, in Rwanda, we've been doing a lot of reforms to attract investors in terms of improving our business environment, and we've seen big results here. So as investors are having challenges in the developed world, I think they'll be looking for alternatives, and we're positioning ourselves to take advantage of any such thoughts of investors wanting to look at alternatives as an alternative destination for the investment. So we might at the end of the day gain from the crisis.
In which sectors do you think that you have a particular advantage in terms of attracting foreign investment?
Currently, we're looking at the ICT, financial sector, and tourism mainly. But we also have big projects that we are implementing as government that we want to attract private sector to co-invest with us, like energy. We have a new airport we are constructing, and we are inviting private sector to invest with us in that.
We had tracked, according to our FDI data that we hold in-house, that Rwanda been one of the stars in the region for a while.
Yeah.
We noted a slight downturn last year in our annual FDI review of greenfield projects into Rwanda. Does that match up with what you're seeing at the government level? And is this just a kind of plateauing off after an initial rise, or do you think that there's anything
I think it's
anything to worry about?
No, I don't think there's anything to worry about. It's just that 2010, 2009 we had a hike, 8 and 9 we had really hike, and 2010 it didn't work out as had been the last 2 years. It's not because of any problem that investors might be changing their feelings about Rwanda. Incidentally, we think this year our target is 500 million, which is almost 5 times of what we had in the last 3 years. And so far we think we might achieve that, or at least close to that. So we don't think it's nothing toward us, like we might be seeing a shift from the attractiveness that we were seeing in our economy. And so we think going forward is even going to be better than where we were in 2010.
Okay. And how would you summarize Rwanda's competitive advantage? What do you see as your key selling points when you're promoting it for investors?
Let me see, maybe 2 or 3 main things. One, as I said, is the government machinery has been really oiled to facilitate investors. It's like the bureaucracy, the different steps you need to take to get what you want as an investor. That has been broken down completely, and really make it easy for investors to get any service that they want from government. As you know, today registering a company in Rwanda takes you just 24 hours. You can do it online. You don't have to. Then coming to Rwanda is also very easy. You can apply for your visa online, and so it makes it easier for if you want to travel, if you want to. But also we've been, as I said, we've been promoting ICT, so it makes it easier for investors coming to Rwanda, because these ICT facilitations, so you can trade while you are even outside the country, or wherever you are, you can easily follow up what is happening. The other important thing is now the stability of the economy. So at least an investor coming to our country can predict what it should expect in terms of the value of the investment. So we've had that long-term stability for more than 10 years, and
investors like predictability.
Yeah, exactly. So stability of the economy, but also in terms of policies that affect investors, they are also predictable. We don't just wake up and change this tax or this policy. So I think those are. Then the other thing is part of really having a government that supports investors is total or zero tolerance to corruption. So that also attracts investors to our country. So always an investor going to a country will always work with the government, and we've made sure that our government is really friendly to investors. No corruption, services given as quick as we can, and so
okay.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
The other important thing, maybe which I shouldn't miss here, is we are part of the East African community. So an investor coming to invest in Rwanda is targeting a bigger market of 130 million people, but also we are linked to Congo as another market to our investors. So that also gives us an advantage as an investment destination.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.